Hi Year 8, this is a video about table of values. Now before we get to what a table of values is, we need to review what substitution is. So I need you to think back to algebra and how we used to take an equation. So for example, y equals x plus 4, and then substitute different values of x into our equation. So let's say we have x equals 1, and we're going to substitute that into our equation. We're going to write y equals, now instead of the x, I'm going to put the number 1. So y equals 1, and I've got the plus 4 from my equation. Now that's just a simple sum, 1 plus 4, that gives us 5. Let's try it again. This time we're going to use a different value of x. We're going to use x equals 2. So my equation tells us that y equals x, but in this case x is 2, plus 4. And 2 plus 4 makes 6. Let's try it one more time. So x equals 3. So putting into my equation, y equals x, but x is 3 in this case, plus 4, which equals 7. Okay, so we've established a pattern by substituting into this equation at the top. Now what we're going to do is write this in a table of values. So a table of values is a table, and it looks like this, and it's divided up into sections, and you can do this in your grid book. Now the very first thing we write in our table of values is x on the top and y on the bottom. And then we fill in the top row with all the x values we've used. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put 4 in as well. And then we fill in the y row with all the y values we've got. So when x equals 1, our equation equals 5. So when x equals 1, y equals 5. When x equals 2, we worked out that y equals 6. So we have 2 and 6. When x equals 3, y equals 7. So x equals 3, y equals 7. And then when x equals 4, think back to our equation. 4 plus 4 equals 8. So let's do one more. And this time I've got the equation y equals 2x plus 1. Now the important thing here to remember is that 2x means 2 times x. So when x equals 1, y equals 2 times 1 plus 1. And we can do that in our head. So 2 lots of 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. Let's pick another number. Let's pick x equals 2. And using our equation, y equals 2 times 2, because that's my value of x, plus 1. And I can work that out as 2 times 2 plus 1 equals 5. You can use your calculator or your head. And let's do one more. X equals 3. So when x equals 3, y equals 2 times 3 plus 1, which equals 7. So now what we're going to do is put this in a table of values. So drawing up my table and dividing it up using your grid lines. Now the very first thing you write is x on top, x comes first, and then y on the bottom. And then along my top row, I'm going to write my red x's that I've used. And then along the bottom row, I'm going to write the values that I worked out. So when x equals 1, I got 3. When x equals 2, I got 5. When x equals 3, I got 7. When x equals 4, well, I can do that one in my head. I can do y equals 2 lots of 4, which is 8, plus 1, which is 9. So finally, there's just one really important thing to remember here, and that is when we write out an equation, such as y equals 3x plus 4, the 3x means 3 times x. So you have to remember there's like an invisible times sign in there. So it's 3 times x plus 4. So 3 lots of whatever x is plus 4. And if we had a similar one, y equals 6x minus 5, it would be 6 times x, so 6 times whatever x is minus 5.